wages, which is a very small, monetary to the speaker, and plus we'd like to support, for goodness sakes, for providing this space for us. Now, it was suggested that everybody have tablets and pens. If you need something right now, would you raise your hand, and we'll try to get some to you so we don't interrupt Holly. Okay. And lastly, everybody knows that this parking is paid parking in downtown Truckee, so if you're in a Truckee parking space, if you haven't paid, you're not going to like the gift you will find on your windshield when you get back there. So if you need to go and pay for your parking, this would be a good time to do it. I'm going to introduce Kim Vasquez, who is an assistant to Holly, and she will present her speaker today. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. I'm privileged and honored to introduce our speaker today. She is a best-selling author, a collaborator of good, and a phenomenal teacher. Last summer, I became aware of this profound being known as Holly. I was at a celebration of life that she facilitated, and there was something, she just radiated a light that I was drawn to. And so I did some investigating and found her website and went to her class, and my life has been profoundly changed by that. So I welcome you guys. I know that she will inspire and encourage you guys today to remember how wondrous and precious you all are. Today she is going to speak about us being even more amazing. So please welcome Holly Riley. Wow. Thank you so much. It's so beautiful.
And thank you guys for coming. I'm so excited to see you all. And thank you, Women Empowering Women. What an amazing group committed to people seeing and feeling and believing how precious they are and life is. What else is there? Thank you, Women Empowering Women. And thank you, Andy Hill, for creating the space for this, for being who you are in the world. Thank you. So you guys, I have one really big wish for you, and I want you to feel it if you can. I want you to feel how dearly loved you are for the time that we're together, and hopefully for the rest of your life. I want you to feel how dearly loved you are. Not because you've done something great, not because somebody told you you're amazing, not because you've accomplished some great feat in your life that you've been trying to get done. Feel dearly loved right now because you decide to. Like that. Because you decide to. Like love is in the air you're breathing. Like you can take a breath of it and let it move into your body. You okay, Andy? That's not you. Okay. Like you can take a breath of air and feel the sacredness of it because you decide to. Because that's truly what's available. You know, we go through our whole life hoping to have this feeling. We get up every day, and everything we do is because we want to have a feeling. We brush our teeth because we want to have a feeling. We work hard because we want to have a feeling. Everything you do in your life is because you're wanting to have a feeling. You know the feeling I'm talking about. The one you've always wanted to have. When are you going to let yourself have it? Do you think it's going to come from somebody else? It comes from you allowing it, from you receiving it, So again, my wish for you and my request is that while we're here together, you open your receivers up and you breathe in the feeling that you've been wanting to have. It's a decision. It's a decision. And while we're together, I'm going to show you some things, and we're going to inquire together and look at some perspectives that are going to have you realize how amazing you are and how powerful you are by how you use your attention, your thinking, and your believing. But before we do that, I'd like to explain where I got my first taste of the information I'm going to share with you. See, I got really, really sick. And the sad thing about letting love in, or letting in the feeling that you've been wanting to have your whole life, the sad thing is that most of us wait until a tragedy occurs. Or we wait until we're really, really sick, and then we realize, oops, I forgot to let any love in my life. So I got really sick because I didn't realize I had an option to breathe love in, to just decide to have it. No matter what mistakes I'd made or how screwed up I'd been, I didn't know it was an option to just feel loved. So I ended up really sick. I had a couple of years of colitis, in and out of the hospital. I don't know if you know what colitis is, but it's where your intestines kind of stop working, and it's not a fun thing. And then I progressed to ulcerative colitis, and then on to a very serious case of Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease is where your intestines pretty much stop working. And mine collapsed. I was so stubborn, I was such a health nut, that I tried everything non-traditional. I was a juicer, I hardly ate any meat at all, mostly vegetarian. I even had my babies on the living room floor. I mean, I was stubborn. It was like, I am going to do my life naturally. So when I got sick, I was really angry, like it wasn't fair, like I didn't deserve that. I'd lived right, I had my spiritual practice. So what I want you to know is when I ended up in the hospital for the last time, I hadn't eaten anything in 4 months. I didn't have anything in my mouth that I chewed on because I couldn't, it hurt too much. But I was determined that I could positive think my way out of being sick, which is a very dangerous idea. So as I was in the hospital on my 29th day, the doctor told my husband, you better get her family here. I don't think she's going to make it. I was down to 84 pounds, and I'm 135 pounds. And I couldn't even have an ice cube for 30 days. They wouldn't let me put anything in my mouth. Something happens to you when you stop eating for 4 months. You know, for those of you that have fasted, you become very present. And after 4 months of no food, it was as though I could see through walls. And something very spiritual was happening to me, even though I was filled with resentment. So as the doctor told my husband, you better get her family here, he called them. I didn't know this, but I had a very estranged family. I came from a very abusive past, and I had taken my father to court for child abuse when I was young and had been a foster child after my teenage years, in my early teenage years. So when my family started coming, it was very interesting. They all showed up within 24 hours. And I have to tell you, when people walk in a room that you haven't seen in a really long time, your family, and you see their faces and you know it may be the last time, you love them. You love them. All the judgment, all the anger, all the resentment, it just melted. And if you can imagine for a moment right now in your life, the people that you are judgmental of or critical of in your own families, Can you imagine with me for a moment what it would be like to be with them right now with zero judgment? Looking in their eyes with zero criticism? Love happens at a level that we don't know. And as I got to be with each of them, something healed in me. And my father came. And you know, all I wanted was for him to hold me and tell me it was going to be okay. It was okay. And he did. So that night, my body stopped working. And I was okay with it. I was surrendered, and I was okay with not being here anymore. I knew everything would be all right. And what I want to share with you, as I left my body, as it stopped working, there was so much pain in me. There was so much physical pain. I can't even give you words to explain it. It was a horrendous presence-calling pain that you had to be there. I didn't have any medication in the hospital. I wanted to be present. I wanted to be there for my death. And when it happened, when my body stopped working and I started moving out of it, the pain completely disappeared. Completely gone. And I just want you to feel this with me. As I moved away from my body, there was this huge space that opened up. This huge space, and as I moved away, it was a feeling of complete celebration and love and welcoming. It was like, yes, like a huge yes. And as I kept moving away, it got even more whole. It was complete. It was perfection. It was that every single thing was done, and it was done perfectly. Like every to-do list I ever had in my life was complete. Do you know what that would feel like? Like that, totally. So I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then something nudged me to turn around and look at the crumpled up form in the hospital bed. And what I saw has changed me forever. It's why I do what I do. I saw in my body the thoughts, the ideas, and the meanness in my body. It wasn't like I saw the words, but it was like I was given an understanding that I had swallowed all of these ideas, and they were alive. They took up space, they had weight, they had texture, they had density, and they were in my body. I knew exactly how I got sick. It was like, oh my gosh, it was so clear to me. And the vibration, the words had a vibration, and they were in my being. And I looked back at the body with so much compassion for what I had done. And then I just kept moving. And the light changed, and the sounds were like a symphony of tones, like a celestial toning of all sounds that I had never heard. And as I kept moving, I could feel the air. I can't describe, and it's hard to explain, but it was like a sweetness. It was like a sweetness. And as I took my hands and I felt around me, I felt what was like hairs on a thumb. I felt them, and I remember pulling them like this. Like, what is this? And then I looked over, and it was a hand. And there was another hand. And I was like, I started looking up. And it was the face of Jesus. These blue eyes that I cannot describe, filled with this love. And I wasn't a Jesus fan. I had no religion, it didn't have, it was nothing like that. I was like, why is this guy here with me? And then as I looked up, it was like the eyes smiled pure love. Pure love. There wasn't anything wrong. And the love filled me to an even higher vibration than the one when I left my body. And it just kept vibrating more. And I was willing to receive it. And I haven't stopped since. And as I opened up and I lie in this space, I was able to lie there as long as I wanted. It was like an eternity, only it happened in seconds. But an eternity passed. I knew who I was. I knew who I was. And it was not the body in the bed below. It was this vast, inclusive, powerful, alive energy. That was the truth of me. And I knew it. And I just cuddled in it and I opened up. And then there was a sound. And I don't know if these things came from inside or outside, but I could feel the words that were being thought were like ripples in a pond. They just moved out from me. They had a vibration. Does that make sense? And as a sound came through me, it was, do you want to stay or do you want to go? And it was a moment, because the difficult choice for me was not staying in that amazing pool of love. And going back into my body seemed like it would be filled with doing and busyness and identity and personality, and it was smaller. And this was big. So I just lay there, feeling my choice, and feel this, imagine this. You know, when you go to make a choice in your life, you think about, well, what should I do? Well, what would they want me to do? Well, what was I taught to do? Well, what do they believe would be best? Oh, but they believe something else would be better. And so none of that was there. I never had experienced that before. It was this huge open space of, what do you want? Imagine right now, what do you want? Your heart. Not because somebody else thinks you should have it or do it or be it. What do you want? Whew. Big question. What do you want from here? Whew. So I got to feel that so completely that that's where I live from. And you know what meets you when you live from that place? That vast largeness of you comes right through. Because it's heart. It's you. It's what you're here to be. And you will always have the energy that creates worlds coming right to that passion. So I was lying in that. No agenda. There was no idea of what I should do. It was pure me, all about me. And I felt it. And the next thing I knew, there was an image of both of my children in front of me. And the moment that I saw their faces, the love again got bigger. But they weren't my children when I saw them. It wasn't like they were my children. It was like, here are two of the coolest beings living in a human form, and I get to play with them. The moment that I saw the beings in front of me, my precious companions, I knew my choice. And the moment that I knew, the presence holding me, I call it the sacred with no name, because I believe it will wear any face that's comfortable to you. it took its breath and it blew it from my head to my toes. And my head was lying here. And it went. It was so sacred. It was the most sacred second that what I was able to do was to bring it in my body. And in that moment, I was back in my bed in the hospital. And I slept for the first time in a month. And I knew how to heal. I hadn't a shred of doubt that I would completely heal. And I did. And when the doctor came in the next morning, he said, "I don't know what you did last night." He said, "But for the first time, your white count dropped." It was so high off the charts. It was high. He said, "Whatever you did, keep doing that." And I was like, "You bet." For sure. And I started my healing process. And all of the details are in the Allowing book of how I applied what I learned, of how I became aware of thoughts, feelings, and intentions being alive. And I knew I had to let them all go. And I did. So I want to show you, if you're willing, how you can do the same thing. I know I'm going to try to show you in a very short time what I've been spending a lot of time doing, but I've got it down to a little bit of a science. And I invite you to really participate as much as your heart will let you. And again, breathe in love. It's here. It's for you. And it never goes away, ever. The only thing that goes away is you. So again, I'm going to keep reminding you for this short time to open and to let it just saturate your heart space so you can hear what we're going to do here with your heart, so you can take it with you, because I believe you will not be the same if you apply this. So the first thing, let's talk about attention. You can't talk about being human without talking about attention. You have it, you focus it, you direct it, you invest it. You invest it in things so well, you think they're real, while someone else can invest their attention into something completely opposite and be certain that it is also real. You with me? So let's have a lot of space for everybody in here to invest attention any way they choose, even if it's opposite from the way we do it. But let's be aware, and from this moment forward, become very present. And let's be paying attention to our attention right now. And I'm going to ask you a few questions, and the answers are only your answers. It's more important for you to know you than to ever think or know anything right. Please answer these for your heart so you can take them out of here. So what is attention for you? What is that energy? What is that feeling when you're right here? You're so present with me. What is that feeling when you're right there? When you're focused? When you're here? And nothing else is in the way. You're not thinking about how my hair's a mess or I've dressed wrong, or which I'm sure has crossed your mind. And if it wasn't me, it was somebody next to you with a phone. You were thinking of how they did something wrong. Notice those little thoughts and just bring yourself back to this moment, to the presence. And notice, what is the feeling of that presence? Like that. So present. If you have a word that you would use to describe that sensation, I would love to hear it and have you write it down. Anybody want to share? Connection. Connected. Anybody else?
Focus. Flow.
Flow. Focused. Anybody else? Does anybody want to sit here? Sir, would you like to come and have a seat?
There might be some people downstairs too.
Sure. If you're downstairs and you can hear me, we have a couple of seats up here. If you'd like to come and sit up here, please come up. 2 seats. Oh, actually, we have 7 seats. 7 people. Come on up. And these are the high price seats. Hi. And you're a high price girl. Please, come on in. Good. Hi, darling.
Hi, sweetheart.
Hi. 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 Good to see you. Hi. Hi. Good. Good. Beautiful. That's it. We're full. Thank you. If I spit on you, it's just it's the way it goes. I get excited. Okay. So, the word we're talking about, you were with us down there, the word, when you're really focused, when you're really paying attention, what word would you use to describe that sensation of presence? You got one, Alan?
You just said it, presence.
Presence. Passion. Balance. Harmony. Juicy? Love that. Right on. That is the juiciest place on earth. Love that. Peace.
Pure perception.
Pure perception. Nothing's in the way, right? It's just pure. I love that. Write down your word.
More transparency, like it's not as thick.
Beautiful. Almost like, did you hear that? More transparency, like it's not as thick. That's beautiful. Write down for yourself what that sensation of presence is like. Do you guys need, because you're going to be needing to take notes. We need some pads and paper up here. Because you're going to want, there's a couple of things I really want you to have forever, besides breathing in love. Anybody else need it? Thank you so much. So write down this word for you when you're really present like that. I've done this with a lot of groups, a lot of teenagers. I love working with kids because they get this so fast and they use it for the rest of their life. And here, one of them, when I asked this question, this is one of my favorite answers. And it was, I said, what's it feel like when you're really present like that? And she said, it's when I give all of myself to something. Don't we love it when somebody does that with us? Oh. Whew. So write down for yourself what that feeling is, because this will be something you'll refer to. And then my next question is, this feeling of attention, this energy of attention that you're becoming more aware of right in this moment, this attention is like magic stuff. And my question is, if I were to ask you to describe something to me that you've never seen before, you've never put any attention on it in your life. You don't know how big it is, you don't know how small it is, you don't know if it's in Japan or Jamaica. If you've never put one particle of attention on this thing, does it exist for you? I know that seems like a silly question, but let's say it again. Get this. If you have never put attention on something, it does not exist for you. If you have never put attention on something, it isn't real for you. Now, people across the world may be putting attention on something completely different, right? They're making a completely different reality real because they're investing their attention in it. This is important. Do you want me to show you how you can take something that does not exist in your consciousness at all and make it real? Let me show you how magical you are. Okay, you've got to participate with me. What we're going to do, I'm going to show you something. This is Andy's favorite exercise. I'm going to show you an object. And even for you guys that are downstairs, as you see the object, you say these things. They can see me, right, Andy? say the words out loud to each other. You guys speak out loud. I want you to get this. This is really important. Get very present. And I'm going to show you an object. And you in here, you're going to say what you see out loud. You're going to describe it in detail. You're going to notice color, size, shape, anything weird. And it's got secret stuff on it. So try to find something nobody else has seen. Deal? Deal. You're only going to get to see it for 2 minutes. So you're going to say it out loud. I'm going to repeat what you say so everyone can hear it. Don't take your eyes off the object. 2 minutes. Are you going to time me? Okay, great. And how do I know you've never seen it before? Because my son made it. Okay, so start talking. Tell me. Buttons. One at a time so we can all hear. What? An owl.
Warm.
Warm.
Pottery.
Pottery. Leaf. Handmade.
Plant person.
Plant person. Button eyes. Good. M. He said M. Mom. Good job. Cylindrical. Bottle inside. Very good. I'm going to walk back here. You guys keep looking. Turn around. Vase. Love. Fiery.
Paper mache.
Paper mache. Anything else? Keep looking. Teacher. Good. Excuse me. Unique. Get detailed. What do you see?
I see a bottle opening.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Yeah, that has the opening.
Bottle opening, dark hole.
One of a kind.
One of a kind for sure. Flower. Sparklies. First one said that. Candle holder. Whimsical. What'd you say? Bottle. Very good. What about this? A pearl. Good. And you said sparkly things. Okay, keep looking. What else is there? There's another thing nobody has said. True love. Fingerprints. Good. What'd you say? Childlike. Happy. Any description? What? A bat?
Yes.
Good. Oh, shiny. Good. Functional. Look at the buttons. Different colors. Good job.
Red and black.
Anything else?
Shiny glass on the bottom.
Shiny glass on the bottom. Don't take your eyes off. Yellow. Nobody said yellow. Anything else? Nobody said. Red. Green. Good. Black.
Dripping.
Okay, time's up. Now close your eyes. And now let the impression of the object come up and notice the first detail that comes up for you. And say it out loud. Okay, now look at the second one. What's the second most prominent? And say it out loud. Okay, now open your eyes. Let me ask you a question. How long do you think you'll be able to recall some impression of this object if I reminded you of the thing that stood out for you? Forever. Two minutes of your attention? Wow. 2 minutes of your attention? How did you do that? How did you make something that did not exist and now it's going to exist forever? Focused. What else? Now. You were present with it. What else?
Hearing, listening.
Listening. Sharing.
Connecting it to something from the past.
Connecting it.
The desire to do so.
The desire to do so.
Yes.
Listen to that.
That's the recognition of similarity to something else.
So bottom line, what did you have to put on the object to make it real?
Pure perception.
Which is attention.
Yeah.
Really get that your attention is what did that. All the things you just said require attention. 2 minutes of your attention. And now you've got something real for the rest of your life, right, Grandma? So here's the thing. Where does your attention come from? Within. There's no right answer. Feel your answer. Where does your attention come from? Choice. Heart. Choice. Anything else? Importance.
My mind.
Your mind. Energy. But it's coming from who? Me. Thank you. Only you. Only you. And who decides where your attention goes? Me. You bet. Now you may like to pretend like somebody else is deciding, but even deciding to pretend is your choice. I tell the kids when I work with them, so the teacher's up there yakking, and you're looking at her thinking what you're going to have for lunch or who you're going to call in a minute. Who's deciding where your attention goes? Because they like to say the teacher does. I say, yeah, right, she wishes, right? So let me repeat what you just said. This is so important. 2 minutes of your attention on one little object and you made it real for the rest of your life. Your attention comes from you and only you. And you are the only one that decides where it goes. What are you making real in your life? You are so powerful. You are so powerful. And you're never going to forget this. You are going to leave here paying attention to your attention like never before. And you're going to realize that the greatest gift you could ever give someone you love is for them to know that wherever they're putting their attention, they're creating an experience. That's love. Not telling them where to put their attention, but showing them that they can. You are so powerful. This is how I healed Crohn's disease. I had put so much attention on what was wrong, on blaming my father, on finding out what's wrong, that I had no attention on what was right. How often do you get up in the morning and notice what's amazing? Or do you first go right to your list and see all the stuff you got to get going on? The lists all get done when you leave, by the way. That's the good news. But don't leave yet. There's too much fun to have. So I want to show you something. This says life on it, in case you can't see it, Graham. Let's talk about beliefs. Let's talk about what are you putting your attention on, mostly in a resistant way right now. And the degree of honesty that you bring to this moment will be the degree of transformation you take with you. So right now, if you look in your life, what is it that you're resisting and you're feeding? Anybody have anything? Fear of what? Try to feel the one that's pressing on you, really. Fear of what?
Not making it.
Fear of not making it. That's a great one for all of us. Fear of not making it. And you guys downstairs, you can go ahead and make your own list. You can make this circle and write down what are you putting your attention on that you're resisting. Anybody else have something? Loss? Excellent. And is it resisting loss?
I guess.
All different types of feelings with loss, yes. Good, thank you. Anything else?
Getting it wrong.
Getting it wrong, beautiful. Anybody else? Just spout them out.
Getting stuck.
Being stuck or getting stuck?
Being stuck.
Being stuck. That's good.
Fear of not keeping attention.
So what are you really afraid of? This is a good one, but what?
Because when you were talking, I was immediately thinking about what about those of us with ADD?
Yes, no, this is a good one. So what is your fear of? Let's
Not
watch this.
being as present as I wanted to stay.
So let's take it a step further. Now just feel this with me.
Drifting off,
Drifting off, and now what's going to happen if you drift off? What is it you're really afraid of?
Not being present.
Okay, and what happens when you're not present? What are you not wanting to...
Doing nothing. Wasting.
Wasting. This is so good what she's saying. Just feel this, because really it's not a fear of ADD. It's a fear of a feeling. What's the feeling you don't like?
Disconnected.
Yes. Listen to that. See, it's all started with the idea of ADD, but what she's really afraid of is being disconnected. And you know what? We all are. Thank you. Beautiful. Fear of being disconnected. And I can show you how to let that go.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Fear of not being loved. Good. Okay, so breathe in some love.
I don't feel that.
Okay, but it's a good one. But just for fun right now, just because you said it, breathe it in for whoever you're thinking of. It's really a big deal. When you change your vibration, everybody around you starts changing theirs. Your greatest gift to everyone in the vicinity is to breathe in love or peace or whatever you're after, satisfaction. Fear of not being loved. Thank you for that.
Information overload.
Okay, and what's the feeling you're afraid of? Could be overwhelmed, but what is the feeling you're afraid? What is the feeling you don't like about that?
There's so many things to where my attention goes. I get distracted. If I have to hone in on one thing, I'm tuning out everything else, and everything else is too big. I don't have enough attention for
Listen,
all that is.
I don't have enough is actually what it is. I'm not good enough is what's actually underneath that. Can you feel that? I don't have enough, or I can't do it right. Or do you get how it's kind of in that line? Like, how am I going to do it all?
It's too big.
Got it. Got it. I don't have enough. Or it's too... Stress. This is a good one. Stress. Now, look at this board for a minute, if you can read my writing. Which one of these is most true for you? Just note it in your head. I don't have enough. Stress. What are you resisting the most in your life? And if it's not on here, write it on your paper because I want you to see this. What are you resisting most in your life? You could have more than one thing. Go ahead and write it down. Actually, write down 5 things that you're resisting in your life. It could be a feeling. It could be a person. It could be the government. It could be ruts in the street. I don't care what it is. Write it down because it's getting your energy. It could be yourself. Loss of health is a great one. Loss of health, loss of vitality, loss of ability. Good.
Aging and not being able.
Aging and not being able, right. Excuse my spelling if it's wrong. I don't have spell check on here. Okay, you got your 5 things? Yes, ma'am. Fear of being left behind or left out, right? Really good. Fear of being left behind. Excellent.
Fear of being marginalized.
Fear of being marginalized. Excellent. Yes, and absolutely self-sabotage. All of these are self-sabotage, by the way.
Fear that you're not enough.
Fear that you're not enough. I'm not enough. See, we could put thousands down here. Yeah. And just so you know, you've got, who needs more time for their 5? Go ahead.
Creating a legacy that makes a difference.
You're resisting not doing that? Mm-hmm. You're resisting, that's an interesting one. What is it, do you mind if I work with you on this for a minute? What is it that you are not wanting to feel? What if you didn't leave a legacy? What would you have to experience? You got it?
Rejection.
Uh-huh. And maybe not mattering. Not being enough. Beautiful. Thank you. I wanted you to see that it isn't about the legacy because you can start being enough right now in this moment. You could breathe in, I am enough. I am wonderful. I have done so much. I am a determined being. I love giving, loving. You can be enough right now and change that entire creation. You with me? Thank you for that.
Pain.
Absolutely. Pain. Physical pain, emotional pain, or both? Yep. Oh, I got to show you something about that. Remind me to show you something about that, okay? Okay, now you guys have your list. Look on your list and see which one is most true for you. Which one are you resisting the most? It could be up here too, but just make a note and circle the one you're resisting the most. Got it? So let's do pain.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, so what are you resisting in your life? My larder's empty here. I must be resisting the question.
You could be. That's a great place to start. What are you resisting in life? You said you were aging and not being able. And so you do, and you could feel when you said it that you did have some energy in there. So that is there for you, but really what I think your question is right now is nothing else is coming up. And my guess is, Linda, that what happened is when you said this, there was a little bit of a shutdown. And I can feel your heart right now, and just let yourself, this is the trick when you have an emotion like that. Rather than try not to feel it, desire it. Just let it come in. Feel the emotion. You have emotion, you have feeling about this. This is a big one for you. So just let it be there, because the only way to let an emotion go is to feel it. We have this crazy idea that if we can push against emotion, we can keep it back and not feel. We can just go like this with all that pain and suffering, that somehow it's going away. And you want to know something crazy about resistance that I learned the hard way? Please learn it the easy way. Here's pain, here's sadness, here was me with my life. And I could hold it back like nobody else. And I was like this through everything, pushing, avoiding, ignoring, denying, positive thinking. Yes, everything's great. Yeah. And here I was. And guess what I always gave my attention to? Guess what I was stuck to that I was resisting? Pain, anger, sadness. So here I was like this. And what I was not knowing, what I didn't know was every single moment of pushing was feeding it. And even though I was smiling, it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it exploded in my gut. Resistance grows the very thing you're trying not to feel. And we have been taught from a very early age that the greatest way to be acknowledged or admired was to not feel. Way to go, you were tough. You didn't let that bloody knee get to you. You know, like, way to go, get back on that horse. It doesn't matter if you got a concussion. Don't feel it. I'm telling you, it was a mistake, because here we were. I can't feel that. I can't feel this. I can't feel this. Oh, I shouldn't feel that. Oh, we're supposed to all be positive thinking now. I better not feel any of those negative feelings, as we push them all back, and here's our life. Can't wait to go home and go to bed. Or get a glass of wine. Or medicate, right? Whatever. I'm telling you, the only way to really open up your heart so you can receive that love that's in the air is to feel and release. This is all in this little book. It is so simple. You can do it with kids. That's my favorite thing, is show this to your 5-year-olds. They'll teach you how to do it. So what you do when you start resisting feeling, which we have all done, don't make yourself wrong. What we've done and we didn't know was we started closing off our connection to that divine, beautiful energy. We cut it off because we're busy doing this. So the only way to start opening our hearts and letting that in is to realize 2 minutes of our attention on resisting pain creates more, bigger pain. 1 10-second feeling it, 1 10-second thing of feeling it. You may scream, you may cry, you may get upset, but you will be amazed how all of a sudden it's gone. Gone. I had to do it about 8 million times on Crohn's disease, but I was determined, and I felt it all until there wasn't anything left. I have never been back to the doctor for anything regarding Crohn's disease, except for one time, and I'll tell you a story about that in a minute. But this is what I want you to see with your attention. Think of this as attention. You're putting it on your thing on the list that you circled, whatever one it is. It's the one that you've been giving the most of your attention to. That's why you circled it. It's the one you've been feeding. It's the one you've been growing. It's the one you've been making real. You with me? So here you are, attention, 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 and it's so on it, it becomes so real, a lot more than 2 minutes. A lot more than 2 minutes. It's so real that what happens, it becomes a pair of glasses that you view life through. You don't even know that another reality exists. You think it's so true that you don't know another reality exists. Then you start telling a story about it. Then you start finding someone to talk to about it. And then you keep repeating it over and over again inside your head when you try to go to sleep at night. And the next thing you know, you have given this story so much of your life force that it's the only way you know how to live. And it's 2 minutes of your attention and you made something real forever. Your attention comes from you and only you. And you are the only one that decides where it goes. So I was doing this with a young lady, and I want to tell you what she discovered at 16. This was in the last 6 months. And she had, her dear friend took his life, and she was supposed to go to prom with him, and they were best friends. And I was given a gift by working with her. And I had her describe the object. She totally got that 2 minutes of her attention made a reality real. And then I had her do this circle. And she put his loss, his life, in the center, his death. And then I had her write down all the things that were getting her attention about it. And I'm not going to tell you all of them, but I'm going to tell you a couple of them. And the one that was getting all of her attention, the one that was hardest for her was she couldn't quit being, she said, I can't quit crying. She said, I can't stop crying. And what she realized was she was resisting crying. Hear this. She said she'd cry all day in school, she'd cry all night. She said she couldn't stop crying, understandably. But she said what she realized out of talking, she was resisting crying, which made her cry harder and harder and harder. I said, honey, cry hard right now. Let it come. And she did. And do you know, the moment she allowed it, we applied this exercise that's in the handbook where she could release it. And she released the sadness. And she was able to let it go because she finally stopped resisting it. And then this I want you to hear. The one that got most of her attention was that because he took his life, he would never have peace. And she said they were talking about it at school. There were some religious beliefs involved. And that because it happened like that, she was afraid that he was suffering. So what we did, she realized she was putting all her attention on this idea, and it wasn't even her idea. Don't we do that? We listen to the news, we listen to something happening, we put all our attention on it, and we make it real. She realized she had put so much attention into all these ideas that were not hers. She was able to go in and feel the idea and how much attention she had put on it, and then she was able to release it. And I'm telling you, she released it because the feeling was hers. It was inside of her. It came from where she put her attention. Does that make sense? Nobody put that feeling in her. If she's going to blame what she's feeling inside on someone outside, she has to wait for them to change it so she can feel better. Do we know how long a wait that can be? Right? So she got that. She got that, and she was able to go in and own the feeling and release it. And then I said, honey, what feeling would you rather have right now? And she said, I want to feel that he's okay. She was a very prescient young lady. She was very intuitive. So she closed her eyes, and this is spelled out in the book, but she closed her eyes and she imagined, like I would like you to breathe in love or peace, she imagined breathing in this feeling of everything is all right. I said, bring it into your cells, bring it into your brain, bring the feeling in. She became almost luminescent. She sat there for so long, I didn't interrupt. And she filled up so completely when she opened her eyes. She was different. She said, I feel it. She said, he is at peace. I said, yes, he is. Unquestionably. And I told her my story, just a little bit. I said, honey, if I ended up in the arms of grace after all I have been and done, anybody can. I'm not kidding you. I was a thief. I betrayed. I sabotaged. I was not a good person in many ways. My body was filled with the ideas that I was not good enough. That was what had almost destroyed me. So when she filled up with that, she realized she could keep doing it. I said, there's going to be waves of sadness. That comes with the territory of being human. This isn't about not being upset. This isn't about being perfect and smiling all the time. Your life is about being real, being human, feeling passion, allowing pain, but letting it go. Resistance is what destroys lives. Resistance is what causes physical ailment. Catching yourself resisting will lead to every dream you have ever wanted. So 2 minutes of your attention and you made something real forever. What are you putting your attention on when it comes to a very important person in your life? You. I invite you all, after you leave here, to make your own little diagram and write down what you've been putting your attention on regarding your body, regarding your death. Like you said, wanting to leave a legacy. Notice, what are you putting all your attention on? What are you wanting with your heart, not because you should? What do you see when you look in the mirror? Are you putting attention on what's wrong? Or are you putting your attention on, wow, I look fabulous today? 2 minutes and you make something real forever. Mirrors are your friends to remind you of the amazing being that you are. Use your attention the way that you would like to use it. Become aware from this moment forward how you're using your attention. Promise yourself. It's important. Are there any questions about this before I go on? Okay, so you're going to be nice to yourself. And here's the thing, too. I want you to hear this. How you treat yourself, how you look at yourself, how you talk to yourself, you're setting up an energetic pattern, an energetic invitation for the world to treat you the same way. It's your instruction booklet. Your vibration is speaking way louder than any fake smile. You've got to feel it. You've got to feel it. So your job is to start learning how to feel good. It moves out from you like ripples in a pond. Like right now even, if your attention is on that, are you warm? Yeah, I can feel it. And you got to notice your attention is moving to that you're warm. I can feel the whole room. The energy is just kind of going like this. And what I want to share with you is, don't resist being warm. Kind of enjoy it for a minute. I'm not kidding. My husband can't stand to sweat. And we just got back from a trip in the islands. And he's fair and he's redhead. And we're out there and he's just sweating and sweating. I said, honey, let's have just a pleasureful moment with sweat. I said, just feel it. Let it just roll out of your body. Start realizing it's detoxing and it's good for you. And it feels good to let it go. So right now, do you notice how the energy just changed a little bit? You guys, you were sitting here resisting and you didn't even admit it. You've got to catch yourself resisting in life. You could be in the grocery store, you could be driving down the road, and next thing you know, you've got a 20-minute banter going on about how wrong another driver is. That's when you lose your life. Catch your attention and notice what you're making real. You know, I have one of my kids always notices all the bad drivers on the road. He'll give me the report every day. You know, Mom, you can't believe these guys, blah, 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 blah. And I said, honey, just keep noticing them and you're going to be surrounded. And he is. He goes, I know, stop saying that to me. You know, if somebody else tells him, he'll probably hear it, right? Notice what you're doing with your attention. You're making reality real.
Another thing I learned was personalizing too much, taking all that personal, and then you take it, then you obsess over it, and why they do that, so.
Perfect. Did you hear what she said? She said it's taking things personally. It's like taking anything personally. Do you think that bad driver even knows who's in the car? Like, oh, there he is, I'm going to go find him. You know? It's really like that with everything. Thank you. Because there isn't anything personal. Everybody, you make up what everybody's thinking about you anyway. So you may as well start making up good things. Because none of it's true. You have no idea what's going on in their head, but you could spend a lifetime thinking you do know. Yes?
We were having a conversation on the way here, and we were talking about men resisting women's growth, women's spiritual connection, and believing that men are resisting them. And
So guess what kind of men you're going to attract? You got it. Oh my gosh, can you believe all those men, how much they resist it? They flock right to you. Listen, that's great, thank you. Now if I asked you to make a list right now, go ahead and do this. Make a list of the 5 things you're really wanting in life. Dreams, like that you really want. I'm just trying to see what time it is. Okay. Need more time? Was it easier to make the resist list or the want list? Good for you. Most people, it's easier to make the resist list, so that's cool.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
I also checked off what I had on my wants, which ones I feel are fulfilled, so,
Oh, beautiful. That's great to look at.
because I'm in a place of gratitude, so.
Beautiful.
But if there's one that's not crossed off, checked off.
You may come up with 5 brand new ones.
Yep.
I find in life that you go through these cycles where it's time for a new life. You get to have new wants. Good for you. So here's the deal. Are you ready? If you keep putting your attention on what you're not wanting, you're going to get more of that. If you put your attention on what you're wanting, you're going to get more of that. Your job, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to really pay attention to your attention so you can move your attention when you catch it on the resist list and move it over to the want list.
That kind of feels like resistance for some things.
This is good. This is
pain. Like I want to feel healthy and strong, and so I resist the pain that I have that makes me not feel healthy and strong.
Okay, so let me repeat. I want to make sure I understand. So you're saying it feels, you with her? It feels like resistance to move your attention off of resist onto want? Okay, beautiful. So here's the answer for you, and it may not be the same for everyone. If you're resisting something, the question you need to ask yourself is, what is the feeling I'm resisting? What is the feeling? And it's spelled out in here too, again, and it shows you exactly, but you've got to find, and can I work with you on this right now?
Yeah.
So what is the feeling? What is it you're resisting by doing that? And go ahead and answer that for yourself.
Weakness? I don't know.
Weakness. How many of us resist weakness? That is a great one. Now watch this. This is miraculous to me. This is what saved my belly. You're resisting feeling weak. So guess what you always have kind of in your face? Probably a little bit of a fear of weakness, a feeling of weakness, haunted by weakness, not wanting people to think you're weak. I don't know. I'm making this up, but put it where it goes for you. Make it real for you. And here's how you get a let it go. You stop. You feel weak on purpose. You've been trying not to have a feeling, and this is just a feeling, you guys, but it's a feeling we've made into a boogeyman under the bed like it will kill us. And as soon as you sit down, you go, weakness. I'm going to feel it. What does weakness feel like? It feels like, for me, with my Crohn's disease, I couldn't walk. I had to use a bedpan. It was to be able to be weak, to sit there and be weak, to be helpless, to feel helpless, to allow my body to collapse, to not resist it anymore, to surrender, to just sit in weakness. You'll do it for about 2 or 3 minutes. You'll completely bring it in as much as you're able to, and then the most amazing thing starts happening. You think of pizza. Or you think of taking a walk. It starts dissolving beautifully. You know when you're done because it just doesn't hold you anymore. But you have to feel it to let it go. We spend our whole life trying not to feel sorrow. As though if we do, we're weak or wrong or bad. When if we would just take a few moments and drop into the deepest, darkest despair we can find, it disappears within a few moments. It is the most graceful and loving thing you can do. And you know what happens next time weakness knocks on your door? You say, come on. And you breathe it in, and you breathe it out. You breathe the next feeling in, and you breathe it out. You either are allowing things to move through you, or you are resisting. When you resist, you create discomfort. You create that feeling of contraction. I want you to get the distinction. It's so important. It's like being, do you notice you're not resisting the heat as much?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because probably you allowed it, and you could probably allow it again. When you allow something, it moves through you. When you resist it, all your attention gets consumed by it. Can you imagine all the 6th and 7th graders getting this?
True.
It's profound. They don't forget because they want to feel free. Teach it to them twice. Show it to them. It's so easy. So does that help you?
Yeah, and then you move on to the.
Then you move on.
after you've let go.
And good question. So once you move over to what you're wanting, if another one shows up, what are you going to do? You're going to feel it. And guess what? They're going to show up for the rest of your life. Don't think you're supposed to get rid of them. This is the biggest mistake. We get hooked into thinking, oh gosh, I've been doing my spiritual work for 20 years and I'm still feeling. You are going to feel for the rest of your life. You came in to feel. You came in to live this life exactly how you're doing it. I know this with all of my heart, that you came in to be with the people you're with, surrounded by the people you're surrounded by, to have the losses you have, because each one of them are a gift, and we all are together anyway. We can never be apart. So I have to show you, I could talk for 10 hours, but I have like 3 things I want to make sure you get. I want to show you something, and I want to tell you about my next walkabout after I left my body. But first, I'm going to show you this picture, and I want you to notice. Now I want you to really look at it. Don't take the first thing. I want you to feel deep. And I want you to notice the feeling you have inside as you look at this picture, okay? And don't be in a hurry. I want you to see if there's something beyond the obvious. What do you feel?
Emotion.
What do you say?
Confusion.
Confusion, sadness,
Cover up.
cover up, excellent.
Empathy.
Empathy.
Fix it.
What do you say?
Emotion.
Emotion, fix it. Who said fix it? That's a good one. You remember you said that. I know. And release. What? Defeat. Defeat. Anybody have anything different?
Unfairness.
Unfairness. Compassion. What do you got? What?
Me? I don't know, I'm just looking at that tear on his, is it happy or is it sad?
Did you hear that? Beautiful.
A smile.
Beautiful. So beautiful. She said, is it happy or is it sad? Notice for yourself what you feel when you look at this.
I want to help.
Say it again.
I want to help.
I want to help. She wants to help. Now, I know this is so crazy, but you got to feel this. Do you think what you just felt came from the picture? Most people do. And if we're honest, we think what we're feeling is coming from what we're looking at. And you got to get, every one of you had a little variation. No, it's this. No, it's that. And I've had a group of people fight over, no, he did something really wrong. And then I had the guy in the class say, you women are all bitches. This guy is really upset. Like, don't be so mean. He is really compassionate. And they started arguing, and I want you to know, what you just felt did not come from this picture. It came from your opinions and judgments. Same thing. Your opinions and judgments are filtering your attention. And you think what you're looking at in your life is causing you to feel something. It's your opinions and judgments about what's happening. Somebody else could be having the exact same experience as you, and they have a completely different feeling. Why? Different opinions and judgments. If you get this, you will never be the same. You will never be the same. This is worth studying every day of your life for 10 minutes every morning. What you are feeling comes from inside of you. Do you know what good news this is? Oh my gosh, I thought they were all coming from outside of me. I was so relieved when I realized, even though they were buggers, I was really glad to find them as mine, because guess what we get to do when we own them?
Change them.
Yes! Oh my gosh, are you guys going to leave so powerful you're not going to believe it? You can change what you're feeling. If you're waiting for something outside of you to get better so you can feel better, could be a while. So again, breathe in love. Oh. It's a decision. It's a decision, you guys. What feeling have you been wanting to have your whole life? Somebody say one.
Peace.
Peace. Acceptance.
Contentment.
Contentment.
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love. Anybody else?
Joy.
Joy. And who are you waiting, or what are you waiting to have happen so you can finally have it? I really want you to feel how you get to have it now. You get to have it now. And here's the coolest thing ever. Once you start letting yourself feel this unconditional love when you look in the mirror or whenever, all of a sudden you start attracting all these people that give you the same feeling. You've been having the feeling, I want it, and don't have it, and that attracts people to verify, I don't have it. Are you with me? Vibrationally, I'm telling you, I could see how every thought I had moved out from me, just like ripples in a pond. And it's almost like it goes out and says, okay, let me go get more of that for you. You know, it's like the woman who is very abused by the husband, and after 20 years, she finally gets away from him. And she's worked so hard to get away from him for 20 years, and she goes and marries another one. It's not the guy. And that's hard to hear sometimes, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but I tell you, the sooner you start becoming aware of what you're feeling and what you're believing and the opinions and judgments that you're looking at life through, as soon as you become responsible for what you're vibrating inside, your life changes outside. Oh, it's magic. So the feeling you just said, just start breathing in acceptance. You know whose acceptance you want. And it's so cool when you can start practicing and you may have to use your imagination. I can feel your sweet heart. You are so dear. And for you to not see it, like this, I just want you to see you through my eyes. You are so beautiful and so precious, and to just let it in. What's interesting is we are so good at giving, but what about letting it in? Women are so good at taking care of everything. You too. But what I'm saying is breathe in. It takes practice to receive. In the allowing class, we had all the students face each other and practice flowing love toward one another and then making a note of the discomfort that they felt as it was coming toward them. The list was long. But man, could they give. And you know what's out of whack with that? Then we actually applied the catch and release process, and we released the obstacles to receiving, and they opened back up and the room exploded. And guess who did it? You're the only ones. So the question you need to ask yourself as you leave here or as you go through your life is, what's keeping me from letting love in? What's in the way? And you know what the answer usually is? A fear of being vulnerable. Giving is so much easier. You don't have to be vulnerable. You get to be in control. That was my specialty. But opening up and receiving, like right now, just again, I'm going to say it again, let the air move into your lungs and give you what you're wanting. It's a decision. Open your cells up. Open up your body and just let it in. Any questions about that? Awesome, you guys. Feel yourself. Keep doing that. Okay, so I want to tell you, how much time do I have, Andy? How long do you want me to go?
A couple more hours.
Come to my class. We have so much fun. So I want to tell you about the second time I left my body because it was so different, and it was why I wrote the book. I hadn't planned on doing a book, but it was like I had to get kicked in the head a second time to get going. And the second time, what happened, I went in to have a colonoscopy because I had never gone back, and I didn't go to the same doctor, and I didn't tell him I had a previous existing condition. I completely lied. So, because I never got sick again after I got out of the hospital. I was like, let's just see if I did a good job here, right? So I go into this poor, innocent, beautiful woman, and I told her I didn't tell her the truth. And I said, when you go in there, I said, I heard I had some polyps. They had told me when I was in the hospital that I should get them removed. So I said, listen, whatever you find in there, take them all out. I said, I'm never coming back. I'm never drinking that nasty stuff again. So if you want my polyps, you better take them now. So I did, and I went in, and bless her heart, she was a new physician. And she took all of them. And I guess there were a lot. And I guess you're not supposed to take more than like 6 at a time. Well, I got home, and my youngest son was there, and my husband was on a business trip. And I just gorged myself. I was starving. I think I ate everything you shouldn't eat. And then I went in to use the restroom, and about a gallon of blood came out of me. And I thought to myself, I wonder how much blood you have. And I thought, I can think this one away. I can do this. I can heal myself. So I sat there for a minute, got up, and then, uh-oh. I went back in, and a whole bunch more came out. The next thing I knew, I woke up on the floor in a big pool of blood. And I got the door open, and I yelled to my son. I said, call an ambulance, because I don't know how long I had been in there. And he called an ambulance, and the ambulance came. I was gone, though. I had already left. But right before I knew I was leaving, I said to myself, or something said to me, you can't die on Drake's clock. You can't die on... Drake was my youngest son. You can't die on Drake's clock, and it was so loud. I knew it would be devastating for him forever. So I was lying on the floor and something said inside of me, look in the mirror, look in the mirror, look in the mirror. It was the strangest thing I ever experienced. I pulled myself up by the vanity, and I just got this high. I was wide as the ceiling, and I looked in my eyes, and I saw myself. I saw myself, not my body, but I saw my being. And it was like, if you can imagine, like a window opened up to past, present, and future, and it's like I got to see the truth again. And I collapsed, and it was okay if I died. Again, I knew it was okay, everything would be okay. Next thing I know, I'm above my body. My body's in between, out of the bathroom, and there's medics leaning over me. My son is standing on the steps. My mom was there, and the two medics leaning over me and two over here. And I remember as I was looking at them, I was like, wow, what happened? And then I kept going, and I kept going, and all of a sudden, an opening, a big tube-like opening showed up, and I just got pulled into it backwards. And then I turned around in the tube, and it was white and soft and beautiful, and that love came back. And it just held me, and it was so beautiful. And then I ended up coming to an opening, and there were like 50 people standing in a circle. I couldn't see their bodies, but I knew they were beings, and I knew they were important beings. I didn't know what they were doing, but I really wanted to know. And I started to try to go forward toward them because they were so happy. It was pure bliss. And so I moved toward the opening, and I got to the end, and somebody turned around and saw me, and they all started clapping. Like, yes, yes. I was like, yes, yes. I didn't know what it was all about, but it didn't matter. It was so much joy. It filled me to the brim. And then they started hugging me. Everybody was hugging me. And then one guy, he was absolutely beautiful. I will never forget his face, and I know I will see him again. He came from the back of the circle, and he came and he took my shoulders, and he turned me around, and he took me back toward the opening. And it wasn't even like, it was like a little pirouette. It wasn't even like there was no resistance in me. I was like, oh, okay. And we went, and it was, again, we moved through this beautiful opening, and he was with me, and we got to the edge, and there was the same scene on the floor. And this is what I want you to hear. Oh. This is probably why I wrote the book. As I looked down, and we stood there, everybody was so dramatic. Everybody was so tense. I mean, understandably, everybody was so freaking out. I was dying. They were trying to put a needle in my neck. I had no pulse. And my mother, I saw her energy field. I have to draw it for you. It is so amazing. I saw her as a body. I can do this. Here's her body. And Drake was standing right next to her on the steps. My body was here. The fireman's leaning over me, and there's two more firemen here, and there's one there. And my mother's energy field was like this. I could see the end of it. It was like huge. And I mean, when I drew this, I'm this big. And it was so massive. And then I looked over at Drake, and Drake, that's my youngest son, his was so big, I could not see the end of it. But I could see that all of them were connected. They were all connected in one field. And these guys had, if I had to do size, they were like this. But here's the thing. The guy leaning over me, he had a little wisp, and here was his field. And I watched all of them, and I watched them all freaking out, and I watched them, and I turned around to the guy next to me, and I went, they think it's real. And he looked at me and he went, and I had so much compassion because they didn't realize the larger part of them was perfect, whole, complete, blissful, connected, exactly perfect. All the lists were done. And he looked at me, and then I saw him. And I went, oh my gosh, we have to tell him he's not connected. We have to tell him. He has to know. And the next thing I know, the man looked at me, and as though he infused me with so much compassion for humanity, I was back in my body. I opened my eyes, and the gentleman over me was so beautiful. Blue eyes, beautiful blue eyes. And I took his arm and I said, everything's going to be okay. And I said, just take a breath. And he said, I have to get this needle in your neck. And I said, you can put it in my arm. It's going to go in now. He said, I've tried it. It won't go in. And I said, you can do it. And he did it. And I had the gift of being able to ride with him to the hospital. And the conversation we had is in the book. And he got to realize how precious he is. And that's why I'm here doing what I do, because there isn't one of us that isn't precious. There isn't one of us that isn't connected. It doesn't matter what we've done. He thought he had made too many mistakes and he didn't deserve it. Guess who closed off the connection? It wasn't anything out here. It was him. You are divine, beautiful beings. You can have as much love as you will let come in. The decision is always yours. This is like an earth buffet. You just have been going to the vegetables for a very long time. It's time to go right for the dessert. You are amazing, and I know you can create any magic you believe in. 2 minutes of your attention and you made something real forever. You are connected to this divine, huge pool of grace. Invite it in. Breathe it in. It waits. It's always up to you. Resistance is the thing to let go of. You do it for 1 week. If you make a deal for 1 week to notice what you're resisting and release it, you will not be the same person. 1 week, I promise. And I hope to see all of you again. It's just been a divine pleasure. And I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Oh, the most important thing is to be kind to yourself. Please, if you don't hear anything else, be so kind to your friend in the mirror. It is what sets up your whole life. And if you can't see the good in you, how can you expect anyone else to? And if you've been waiting your whole life to have a feeling, to get done with something, to be something, start having the feeling first. And then everything you're wanting comes from you feeling it first. Now, do you want me to take questions now, or
Yes.
what's your pleasure? Okay, so, okay, what you got?
Did you get resuscitated by heart on the first
Neither time.
No.
Neither time.
So your heart didn't stop?
Didn't stop. Well, the first time it did, but they were short, and before they could come back and do anything, I was fine. I mean, I was messed up, but they didn't have to do any shock.
They didn't have.
Yeah. I slept through it. I was in the arms of grace. Anything else?
Was your awareness of what you had experienced right away, or did certain things keep coming back to you about it?
You know, as soon as I got done on the first one, I journaled every word. I just journaled every word. But you know, I was reluctant to tell very many people about it. It was a while back, and it was so sacred to me, and I didn't know what to do with it. I actually researched near-death experiences for quite a while. I read several books, and Andy, do I have time to tell one more story?
Yes.
Okay, so thanks for asking that question. So I want to tell you this you will not forget. So I studied near-death experiences. I love your question. And there was a woman who gave her accounting of her near-death experience, and this is what it was. She was in a several car pileup in LA on the freeway, and it was hugely congested. They had blocked all 5 lanes, and she was in the bottom car. And it took them an hour just to get to her, and then it took another hour to get her cut out with the jaws of life. And while it was happening, she was above the body. And the line of traffic, as you can imagine, was immense. And she started moving out above the cars, and all she felt from the cars was, oh, what an idiot. I can't believe this happened. I'm going to be late to pick up my kid. How can people be so stupid? What's the matter with these drivers? And she said it was unbelievable what was moving out of those cars toward her. She said it was so difficult that she had to move way high. And then there was one car down the way where a light was coming from. This story gets me every time. There was a light coming from it. And she automatically gravitated toward the light, and she was above the car, and there was a woman inside. And she was saying, I hope this person's well. I hope all of these people are well. I send blessings to the family. And she was doing a beautiful form of prayer. The woman stayed in the comfort of that light long enough to really see her face. She saw the car. She was so comforted. She believed if the woman hadn't been there, she may not have come back. And when she got in her body, she woke up in the hospital, and after 6 months of rehab, she went and found the woman. She talked to the DMV and found the license plate, and she took her flowers. Your thoughts matter. Your intentions matter. They move out from you and touch lives. You are so very precious on this earth. So next time you see someone in a wreck, send them love. But you have to fill yourself up first. Good. So thank you for that question. Thank you. Yes.
So are you really going to wait until October to do
I'm doing a self-esteem. I'm doing a 4-hour class in, no, you can do it. Kim's going to tell you all about that. But yeah, we're doing a class. Thanks for asking. We're going to do a 4-hour class, which we're just going to release blocks and obstacles to believing in yourself. It's called a self-esteem course, but to me, it's a course about believing in yourself, owning your power, remembering how amazing you are, and we're going to spend 4 hours letting go of anything in the way of that. And it's on June 15th in Reno. And it's $99 if you register early, so it's really poke in the eye. A soft one. Yes?
I'm here. I have the flyer.
Okay, great. And there's flyers down Blair for you. Any other questions? Yes?
You talked about the pain that you couldn't describe the first time. When my mother died, I saw that pain that was indescribable. And I watched her die with that pain, and I didn't get to experience the other side with her. So all I remember and feel is that horrible pain.
I am so glad you said that, because I know she's here. I know that her presence is hearing you. I just had a little sense of it, and I just want you to know I feel it's really good you know that she didn't have any of that with her. She didn't. There's just no possible way. The moment you drop your body, you lose all physical pain, period. And you remember who you are, and you're not your body. You're using it, you're playing in it. Your time on this planet is temporary. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. But is there anything else about that? Can that help you? Can you let that be true?
It's also a fear.
And why is that?
That it will happen to me.
That you'll have the pain? Well, listen. Oh, there we go. I want you to feel this. If you're afraid of the pain of dying, you need to sit quietly and feel it. Take 5 minutes. Don't spend your life resisting the pain of death. Many people do that. Many people are afraid of that, Linda. Many people are afraid of pain that's going to happen in the future, and they spend their whole life waiting to have it. Feel it now. Follow the steps in this book. Release it out. You can do this, and if you need help, you call me. I can help you let this go. It is just an idea in your head. It is not real. You're afraid of an idea in your head. I know you saw it, and you've probably told the story how many times? How many times have you seen it? 1 million, maybe. It's time to let the image go. You can do that, and you can replace it with a new image. Like have the image of her leaving her body into a pool of grace. You've got to use your will, and you've got to move your attention from that story to the new story. Is it practice? You bet. Is this whole thing practice? You bet. Are you going to have to do this the rest of your life? Yes. Are you going to have big feelings come? Is there trauma, sadness? Do we all lose somebody? Do we all have to face death? I have a secret. We're all going to die. Don't resist it. It is one of the most beautiful things. But live while you're here because you came in to live. Don't spend your life resisting death. Thank you so much for saying that. You can let this go, I have no doubt. But you have to want to. There's only one thing, there's one ingredient that spells success for you guys. You've got to want it. You've got to want to be free. You've got to want to let go of these things you're hanging on to. Hey, if you're getting a lot out of having them, if you get attention, it can be tough. I blamed my dad for being sick for so long that I thought blaming him was the prize. I thought if I died, I would really prove that I was right about him. As though dying to make him suffer was my payoff. Crazy. You gotta look and see what you're getting out of dragging around your drama or your story, because it's not nearly as much fun as not having it. Thank you so much for that. Yes?
I felt something at the death of my mother that lingers with me as well, and that is, and also a between life regression, where I felt regret in the life, in the space after a life, that I hadn't completed what I had set out to do in that life. Did any element of that arise for you when you were?
Let's see who this is. It could be God. It was God. And that was your answer.
Or Morgan Freeman.
This is the thing. You can create it any way you want to. Hear this again. If you keep dwelling on that, maybe there's some gift in it for you. I cannot say. I'd have to work with you a little bit. But you could feel the regret and see if a door opens in you to release something you've hung on to since childhood or before. Because it feels to me like there's a regret somewhere in there, but it's from your childhood. And just dabble in it and see, and let go of the regret and get on with living. But if you keep telling the story and picking at it like an old scab, sorry about that, but you know how kids do that, it's like that. I keep telling my sister that. She's just recently suffered a very hard loss, and it's funny how she wants to keep picking at it and picking at it. Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? And I got to tell you, why is a trick. It is such a trick because there are 8 million gazillion answers to why. And anybody you ask will have a new one. The only person you need to really be clear with is you. Get your own answers. You've got the heart, you've got the knowing. But does that help you a little bit?
And there might be some scabbing going on that has to
I
be
feel
cleared
that.
up.
Yeah, and just because she just said that, there may be some scabbing going on. The picking at it, sometimes we punish ourselves. Sometimes the best way for us to punish ourselves for doing something wrong is to make sure we keep suffering. Should I say that again? Sometimes the best way for us to pay for a mistake in our lives is to make sure we don't, I'm telling you, everybody I've worked with on financial abundance, they make sure they don't succeed with money, and it's usually connected to non-forgiveness of themselves. And not forgiving yourself or someone else, not forgiving anybody, holding a grudge about anything is like taking poison and waiting for them to die. There's a whole section on that in there as well. You've got to let go of that. That's great. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for your honesty. Yes?
I drive school bus for the school district.
Awesome.
And I was up about to do a crossover with the children in a car, almost hit me in the street. And that, for me, that was like a huge, it freaked me out. I started shaking.
Right.
And I had to pull the bus over, and I couldn't even breathe. I mean, it was like a moment
Sure.
of my life like flashed in front of me, and I realized, oh my God, I could have been dead. Then I was having nightmares of how the car would have hit me and how I would have fallen under the car. And so then it was quite an experience, and it was really scary. So.
And how are you now?
Better. It took time. It took a few days, you know.
Okay,
but
so I just want to
the fear
demonstrate.
was very-
It was big, the fear was big. So
Yeah.
on our circle, what she did is that she had an incident, and then she started picking at it, just like you said. She just started, and of course, that's what we do. Don't make yourself wrong. Attention will go over and over and over what's wrong, more than it goes to what's right. It's just a habit we have to break. Don't make yourself wrong, because that compounds the problem. So that you notice that you did that, I would go in and feel the trauma on purpose and release it. Just follow the steps and just let the trauma go and breathe in whatever feeling of peace that will help you feel safe. I would breathe in safety.
Yeah, it's like, what am I going to do?
Right.
I got to make a trust. And
Right.
where's my money going to go? Where's my, oh no, oh no.
Wow. See? Look at how much attention went to the incident.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe something really great is coming from it because you're going to get everything in order in case you do leave.
Right.
Make it easier on someone that would have to take care of everything. So the good will come, but be responsible for what you're making real. 2 minutes, you made something real forever. 2 minutes. How powerful are you? Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes.
Holly, has your clairvoyance come from your divine experiences, or was that something that you knew you had before? Because
That's a good question. I would say, and I don't call it clairvoyance, I think what I feel and see, and you know, sometimes I can see some interesting things. I believe everybody can do that. I don't
Right.
really
but
simply.
yours,
I
yours
think
may be more developed, and I'm just very interested
Yeah.
in if it was from your divine experience.
this is where I believe it all started. I believe it all started when I didn't eat for 4 months, and it just never stopped. I realized how much food had been it kind of clogged my awarenesses up in a way. And I love food, trust me. But I realized when I had that experience what was available, and I never let it leave after that. What's that feeling? You want to talk about it?
Oh,
Do you have any tissues?
it's just that I just realized on my want list, that's my number one thing, is to get that clairvoyance.
Oh.
And I've been non-stop eating now for a year.
Oh, that's so perfect that you asked this question. I have chills. This is so perfect. Look at the divine in asking this. Look at how the universe just wanted you to have that. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
You needed to have that be the carrot for you so that you could realize how precious you are. Because you have to want being clear more than you want the food.
Well, my oldest son passed 11.5 months ago, and I've been wanting so much to be in touch with him, and I've had some in touch, but then I want it so bad, but on a daily basis, I more can't handle it, so I eat. So that's what I wanted to know.
Beautiful.
But I know that feeling because there's been many times in my life that I've come clean of food, and I'm so spiritual. So.
And let's not make food bad, but I just, first of all, I want to acknowledge you
Well,
for...
it is if you use it bad.
Yeah, like an
Use it,
addiction, as an addiction, to avoid a feeling.
Yes.
And here's just something I would invite you to do. And please, everybody hear this. Whatever your addiction is, because we all have them, whether it's to be in control, whether it's to not feel, whether it's to be perfect, whatever your addiction is, listen to how I'm going to do this with her so you can write down what's in the way for you. So the question I'm going to ask her, and this is in the book as well, but what is the feeling you're not wanting to have? Why are you eating to avoid a feeling? Why are you drinking to avoid a feeling? What is the feeling you're not wanting to have? Why are you trying to control everything? What feeling are you not wanting to have?
Truthfully, I've been so consumed and confused with grief, I don't know. I long for that
Connection.
And I know it's a divine connection, and I've had some major connective moments, but then it's fuzzy.
Sure, and of course it would be. Oh my gosh, give yourself such a break. You know what I would like to say to you is, if the feeling to me, and I'll just say what I feel, and you can do it in your own words, but the feeling to me that you're not wanting to have is that it's almost like I took a bunch of marbles and dropped them and they're going all over the room. It's a feeling of, you know, that like, is it chaos? Or it's like a feeling of not knowing, not getting, not being clear. It's not being clear. Scattered, like, is that feel right at all?
I mean, is that what I feel like?
Is that what you don't want to have? The feeling of being scattered, like broken in 100 pieces?
Well, that's what I am.
Right. So
and that's what I don't want.
That's what you don't want to have. Yeah, that's just the image I get is all the marbles bouncing all down the stairs and everywhere, all broken up. And so what I would do is sit with you and have you feel that on purpose. I would just have you do it on purpose, not as a reaction to a moment, but like, okay, I'm going to set the timer, and I'm going to sit and feel really scattered on purpose for 5 minutes. And just let it be there. And you'll be amazed, but you probably won't be able to do it for more than 2. Mm-hmm. But let it be there with zero resistance. Be scattered, be split up, be completely discombobulated, feel like nothing matters anymore on purpose. Because what we do often with death is we cry and we have so much grief, but it's really resistance. Understandably so. Are you with me? It's really resistance. It's like, why did this have to happen? Why me? You guys get this? Yes. So I would work with you on having you just feel the resistance for a little while until you can let it move through you in waves without getting caught in it. Like almost like, oh, here comes one. I'm going to sit down and enjoy it. I'm going to be present with it because it is his gift to you. And if I can help you, you let me know. And I appreciate you coming forward. And the food thing will come into place when you start realizing what you're trying not to feel. The addictions all become manageable when you're willing to feel what you've been avoiding. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I think we have to... Wow, I've been yakking a lot. Okay. Am I done? Yeah. All right, you guys, I love you, and I'm so grateful for you. And I hope you take this forward with you everywhere you go. You are such amazing beings, and it's just been a privilege to be with you. So thank you. And this is Kim.
Nice. So we have a couple things. Does anybody know Holly's website? Been there to visit? It's hollyriley.com.
That's easy. Yep. Oh, you guys sign up. Join me on Facebook.
We're going to do that.
Oh, you're going to do that? Okay, I'll shut up.
She's on Facebook under Holly Riley. And also she has an allowing page. You can like that. And there's daily inspiration on there that she posts. She's also on LinkedIn. Her next event is going to be on June 15th. It's a Saturday at Renown down in Reno. It's $99 in advance for pre-registration, $120 at the door.
Kim, I'll have flyers for that downstairs.
Yeah, it'll be on the table. There's also a book. The books are on the table downstairs for sale, and there'll be a couple flyers for that event. Also, the course that will be in October. We don't have a date yet, but she's going to do. It's a 5-week course. We meet once a week for 2 hours. It's usually on Thursday. But I don't have a date yet, and that is $300.
Where is it?
That's to be determined, but it will be in Reno. So, what else is on here? Of course. She's also available for private sessions, both in person and she can do it on the phone. And we would love to get your guys' email because then she can send what's coming up and what's available. Plus, she sends great love notes. Makes you feel really good about yourself. Anybody have any questions?
The 5-week course is going to be in a short synopsis.
I have a flyer for that downstairs if you're interested, yeah, and she'll say it much better than I. It's written, and it's from her. But I can tell you, I went through in September when I saw her at the Life Celebration event. I didn't hear her speak. I never met her. I had to leave before she actually started talking. So I actually investigated and found out who she was, what she was about, and then I went and took the course in September of last year, and I took it again in February, and it's phenomenal. There's plenty of people in here that have taken the course. Kathy's here. Yeah. Andy has been through it. We also did a mastery course right after that, and that was awesome too. So I loved it. 2 nights a week for 5 weeks. I'm missing that now. So you guys bug her about doing them more, because I do. All right? Thank you so much for coming. Please give us your email.